White House representative to Arab-Israeli peace talks. Dr. Robert Hunter is now a senior fellow at the Center for Transatlantic Relations at Johns Hopkins University. Appreciate your being here.
Good to be with you.
Let's talk about how significant a development this is. 72-hour humanitarian pause in the action, an opportunity, and the possibility of additional discussions, sending both Israeli and Palestinian negotiators to Cairo.
I suspect what's happened is that the Secretary of State got up on his hind legs and said to Hamas through intermediaries, you're never going to get a better deal out of the Israelis because they're prepared to go for broke. I think he probably said to the Israelis, look, every day you carry on with this, and every time there's a missile that goes and kills civilians, whether you intended it or not, we assume it's just an accident, you look worse and worse, not just to countries around the world, but also here in the United States. I think he probably got a little angry with the Israelis, along with the president, about having gone out there and then come back with absolutely nothing. So I think he's probably pressing right now, this is the moment to try to move beyond this. He's got 72 hours to work with.
Yeah, and you know, by the way, there were other developments in this as well. I mean, this latest strike on the school with so many civilians, at least 15 who died in this, and the White House issuing a pretty strong condemnation. Is that part of what you think brought Israel to the table here?
I think so. It's rare for the United States actually to condemn things that Israel does. After all, Israel is being attacked, etc. But I think the enormity of seeing these civilians killed in this way, in places that nowhere remotely near where there might have been some kind of military objective, I think finally got through to the White House, and particularly, as I've already said, that if the Secretary of State went out there, dealt with Israel, Israel has no other friends but the United States in the entire world. And I think it finally said, look, you gotta cut this out. We'll get to the best deal we can in terms of disarming Hamas, moving in a direction that's gonna help you be secure, but you gotta work with me, gotta work with John Kerry, you gotta work with Barack Obama.
You know, Secretary Kerry had taken some hits over the last few days as he came back with nothing to show, as you say, and criticized in part for trying to push too hard on these short-term ceasefires. Is he getting some vindication in this?
Well, first, I think it was unfair to push the Secretary of State this way. People expect the United States to do it. We are deeply engaged in this. Now, you raise a good point, which is if you just get a ceasefire, if you just go back to where we were, nothing's been accomplished. It'll happen again. On the one hand, you've got to find a way for Hamas to do less, maybe nothing, in terms of attacking Israel. But equally important, I think more important, Israel's finally got to recognize that it's got to lift the siege. In fact, if I were to advise the Israelis, do you want to empower Hamas? Keep up the siege. If I want to undercut Hamas, I'd open up the border, get controls on bad things going on, open up the border, get in aid, get in investment, and then the people of Gaza will turn against Hamas. They don't have any love for Hamas, but Hamas is the only people who are providing them with things. So,
the only game in town.
The only game in town.
The other part of that, though, is that Netanyahu had said that he wanted those tunnels shut down. Now he's at 90%, 90% plus. It isn't even quite clear that the ceasefire necessarily refers to not doing any work on trying to eliminate the rest of the tunnels. So, in fact, if the objective is accomplished anyway, that is another opportunity to bring Israel in.
Well, first, they have said in the past with ceasefires, we'll continue to work against the tunnels. The tunnels have undoubtedly been exaggerated in terms of a threat to Israel, except psychologically. There's not much you can really do with it. Not much has been done with it. And if they've gotten rid of 80, 90% of them, frankly, the Israelis can afford to back off, stop losing in the court of world opinion, stop losing in the court of American opinion. For the first time that I can remember, and doing this for 45 years, in which the American people are beginning to wonder, what's Israel up to using our weapons? This is the time to make it stop, and I think John Kerry, President Obama, are doing it just right.
Dr. Robert Hunter is a former White House representative to Arab-Israeli peace talks. Appreciate your being here.
Thank you.